A mind chime. He arrived from the south, nameless to most, shadowed by his own story. No documents marked him as significant. No golden credentials. Just a pair of tired lungs, one of them damaged, and a mind sharpened not by palace tutors but by the streets of Buenos Aires. He could have been anyone, another brown-skinned son of immigrants, slipping quietly into the global north, holding on to faith the way some cling to the underside of a boxcar. If he'd crossed a border in Texas, they might have caged him. If he'd asked for refuge in the UK, they might have shipped him off to Rwanda. But somehow, this man, this figure who moved like a ghost through the power structures of the church, kept walking. He didn't rise. He persisted. He was a bouncer once, this illegal, guarding nightclub doors and trying to keep peace in rooms pulsing with music and mayhem. He rode motorcycles. He studied chemistry. He fell in love once, they say, but chose a different kind of devotion. And when he entered the priesthood, it wasn't to gain stature. It was to lose it. A vow of poverty, obedience, chastity. He moved into small rooms, took the bus, spoke to the poor, listened to them too. No one expected him to make it far. The Vatican, after all, is not in the habit of elevating outsiders. It speaks Latin, dines in marble, and looks upon the world through golden lenses. But this man, they didn't see him coming, because he didn't knock like a prince, and he slipped in like a migrant. He belonged to a different church, one made of dirt roads, folding chairs, soup kitchens, and street liturgies. And when he came to Rome, he came like a holy coyote, smuggling in ideas the institution had buried deep, that the church was not a fortress, but a field hospital, and that truth lived not in canon law, but in the cries of the displaced, and that mercy was more radical than dogma. And then came the smoke, and white, rising like breath from a million chests. Habemus Papam, and we have a pope. And they called his name Jorge Mario Bergoglio. But the world would come to know him as Francis, named for the saint who kissed lepers, hugged wolves, and stripped himself of wealth in front of a crowd of horrified nobles. A pope who spoke of climate change as a moral wound. And a pope who washed the feet of Muslims and women and prisoners. And a pope who said gay people should be welcomed in every parish. And a pope who refused to condemn migrants for how they arrived, but instead wept at the shores where their bodies washed up. He was, in every way, the wholly illegal, the spiritual undocumented, the theologically stateless. And yet, he became the voice of a global church. Francis was not what the institution ordered, and he was what the world required. So when you hear them demonize the next migrant child at the border, and the one without a passport, the one with calloused hands and tired eyes, and remember, and one of them became pope, and may still be the most dangerous man in white robes the Vatican has ever known.